Hello everyone, welcome to today's training. Today we are going to be talking about personal branding and the basics of personal branding. So what personal branding is, who should be having a personal brand and who shouldn't be, why you would decide to have a personal brand, where you want to be branding yourself, and how you create a personal brand. So today we're going to be focusing on LinkedIn as a platform, but this basic training applies to all of the social media platforms, also to your website, how you decide to show up for yourself and your business. However, Rachel has asked specifically for a bit of a LinkedIn breakdown, so that's what we're going to focus on today. And I am going to do, this is a basic training, so if you feel like you would like to learn more about personal branding after this training, then feel free to either ask Rachel for a second training and I will be happy to do that, or you can find me at Crush It Social, or just look me up on LinkedIn and reach out to me and I can tell you more. So let's get straight into it. So first of all, we're going to talk about what personal branding is. And I've decided to start with this Forbes definition by Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. And he's very famously quoted for saying that your brand is basically what people say about you when you're not in the room. So the term branding is used for businesses. Historically, it has been reserved for businesses, but with the advent of more social media sites and the gig economy, personal branding has become so big and so powerful and so important. Instead of showing up online as a business, more and more people are deciding to show up online as a person. And social media is the perfect place to do that because we're essentially there to be social, right? We're not really there to do business. Social networks is about socializing with your network. So if you turn up as a logo, you're going to get a very different response to as if you turned up as yourself. So a personal brand is basically a unique combination of skills and experiences that makes you who you are. It's how you present yourself to the world, and effective personal branding will differentiate you from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. So personal branding is seen around the world now. Even university students are being taught how to have a personal brand. And I'm going to be diving into that really shortly. But first of all, I just wanted to quickly introduce myself and what my personal brand is all about. So my name is Chloe Cristallini and I am Australian, if you can't tell by my accent, but I live and am married. I live in Italy, I'm married to an Italian, and most of my life is over there. So what I do is I help wineries and wine businesses with their exposure. And I help them increase their exposure by using social media, digital marketing strategies, so they can essentially sell more of their products or services direct to their consumer. You can go find out more about me on LinkedIn, Chloe Cristallini, or you can find me on Instagram, or you can head over to my website here and it'll delve more into who I am and what I'm about. But I just want to get straight into the training today. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about who a personal brand could be for. Is a personal brand for you? So I want you guys to ask yourself this question. Is your business an extension of you? Does the value of your business depend upon your expertise, your experience, and your talents? So if you're watching this training in SMU, then the answer is pretty clear, and the answer is yes. If you are a social media marketer or a social media strategist, then all of your learnings, all of your services that you provide essentially come from you and your learnings and what you're going to be learning in this course. So let's break down a few different people who have a personal brand. So we've got Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're a wino and you're in the wine industry and you're on this training, then you should know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. And if you don't, definitely go and follow him. He's someone that you want to be learning from. And that applies also for people who are in social media. Any type of social media, if you're in SMU, then you should go and check him out too, because he will provide tremendous value to you. Another famous one is Oprah Winfrey. I'm sure all of you, if you haven't heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, then you have surely heard of Oprah Winfrey. And if you haven't by chance heard of Oprah Winfrey, then you've definitely heard of Rachel if you are in SMU. So Rachel has done a fantastic job at creating a personal brand. If you look at any of her materials, any of her social media sites, her website, it's very clear that Rachel is her brand. And the good news is that you don't necessarily have to have a big profile like Rachel or Gary or Oprah in order to create or benefit from a personal brand. So, as I said before, personal branding in this day and age is even used for university students as they're graduating. It is used for employees. It is used for employers and basically anyone in the gig economy. So if you guys don't know the gig economy, this is the gig economy. You know, being a freelancer, working independently is classified as being in the gig economy. So according to a 2018 Career Builder survey, 70% of employers actually use social media in order to screen their candidates during the hiring process. And 43% of employers use social media to check on current employees. So this brings us back to, you know, the reason why graduates are starting to have a personal brand on their social media, because it's essentially how they're being screened these days in order to get a job. So think about, you know, when you go to hire someone, like recently I just booked a trip to India, and in the process of finding, you know, the company that I wanted to go with, I found them on their website and was chatting to them. But in order to kind of make my decision to go with this company, the final thing I did was I actually went through all of their social media, right? And I checked what their presence was about. So, you know, social media is becoming bigger and bigger for all of us when we make any sort of purchasing experience. And I'm going to explain shortly what the difference is between showing up on social media as a brand and showing up on social media as a personal brand. But another reason why personal branding is super valuable is that the gig economy, which is what you're in if you are a social media manager, is not going away anytime soon. So the average person switches job every 2 to 3 years. And by 2020, freelance and contract workers will make up 43% of the US workforce. So we're moving more and more into the gig economy, and having a personal brand is going to become more and more important. So why personal branding? You know, what are the benefits? People don't do business with companies. People do business with people, and they do business with people that they like. So there's just something about having that connection with a human being that creates this level of endearment and customer loyalty that goes beyond a relationship that a company could ever reach. So think about all the big companies in the world. A lot of them are using personalities in order to advance their brand's mission. So Apple, they had Steve Jobs, and they still do to a certain extent. The Kardashians, they are the Kardashians. So they basically are a perfect example of a personal brand. Their business is represented by the people in the family. And Virgin has Richard Branson. But if you're a smaller business owner, then this persona is probably going to be you. Or it might be your boss, or if you're working as a team, it might be your coworker, whoever decides to represent the business. But if you are a freelancer, then it's probably just you. So one of the biggest benefits, and this is something that I just love about having a personal brand, it is the flexibility. So as a business owner, usually, you know, through your life, your business is going to change, and you might not always want to be doing the same thing. You might, you know, want to be shifting. So you start out as a social media manager, and you, in that business, you are doing a lot of copywriting, and you decide that you love copywriting and you're really, really good at it. So you kind of diverse into having a copywriting business as opposed to a social media management business. Now, I want you to think about if you had a name. So let's take mine, for example. Crush It Social is my social media management business for the wine industry. And I didn't have a personal brand. I wasn't showing up online as Chloe Cristallini. I was showing up online as Crush It Social, as a logo. If I had decided to change my services and change the way that I, you know, wanted to work my business, then I would have to pretty much rebrand my whole entire online presence. I would have to, you know, get people knowing what services that we were changing to. I would have to probably start weaning off my clients and start finding new ones. I might have to change my logo. If it, you know, had social media management branded in there, I'd have to change it to copywriting. So the great thing about showing up online as a personal brand is that as you change, you can change your business, and all of that clientele is going to stay with you online, in your online presence. Now, yeah, so basically it means that the business owner, as you shift your purpose in the business, there's no need for a rebrand, and the company can just maintain its same name. So on the contrary, business brands are good for businesses that want to scale beyond one person's experience, expertise, or talent. So I'm going to give you an example of that in a minute. So it's all about building a brand around a separate identity that is specifically created for the business, which involves coming up with a name that's independent of your personal name. So here are some examples here. So essentially I have my personal brand, which is Chloe Cristallini. It's me, it's who I am, it's who I show up with online. And then I have my business, Crush It Social. Most people know about me, Chloe Cristallini, and Crush It Social is a separate entity to me, where I am growing to get other expertise, other experts growing up under that brand, but it still sits in an umbrella underneath myself. So if I decide 2 years' time, you know, I'm in the wine industry and I'm also a certified sommelier, and I want to go into, you know, in-home wine tastings. Basically, that would be another branch of my personal brand, Chloe Cristallini. And I could have another business name for that, something like, you know, Crush It Social in-home wine tastings. I don't know. Actually, it would probably be a completely different name. But the idea is that you can have your business sitting underneath you, but you essentially are showing up online as a personal brand. So Rachel does an amazing job at this. You know, we all know Rachel Pedersen. She's the queen of social media. And then underneath her, she has her different businesses. So she's got SMU, she's got SMU Elite, she's got, you know, random courses like her TikTok course that just launched. So she is able to keep her audience under her name as Rachel Pedersen, but she's allowed to continuously bring up new products, services, business ideas that kind of form a circle around her. So if you're in the wine industry and you don't know Rachel because you're not in SMU, then you might know Justin Dry, he's the owner of Vino Mofo, or you might know Paul Mulbray, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce the name, who is the owner of Emmetry and a lot of other businesses. But these two people also show up online as themselves, and they have created a very big, amazing personal brand and following, which I'm going to show you guys how to do. So first of all, I just want to get into the where. So where should you have a personal brand? So a personal brand is a lifetime commitment. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort for business owners to acquire a personal brand. Basically, it requires them to build up their own credibility and visibility by becoming an expert in their field. An expert in their field. I'm going to get into that shortly. And sharing their knowledge and their unique perspective through online and offline marketing. So a personal brand isn't just about an invented persona that you have online. It's so important as a personal brand that you are 100% authentic to who you are, and what you believe in and what you value. And it's about becoming visible with those values online. So when somebody meets you offline, if somebody met Rachel offline, they feel like they know and trust Rachel, and she's the exact same person as she is offline and she is online. It's their life mission. So one of the ways that you can make building a personal brand difficult for yourself is to separate your brand from your personal life. So one thing about having a personal brand is you have to become comfortable with putting your life online and having people get to know you. So, you don't have to show up online and, show people where you live or what you ate for breakfast or share any of your personal details. You can still keep a private life, but you do have to become comfortable with sharing things to the outside world that you typically, you might need some practice with. So for me, when I first started showing up and sharing my life online, I just took really small baby steps in doing that because it was a bit of a learning process and felt a little bit uncomfortable. But I can assure you that the benefits of building a personal brand, if you decide to go down that route, far outweigh the uncomfortabilities, and it's all about personal growth, really. So that could kind of be saved for a different training. So yeah, personal brand, it can be shown on all of the LinkedIn, all of the social media platforms, but today we're going to specifically be focusing on LinkedIn. And I could go in depth for a long, long time about how you can build up your personal brand. It is a lifetime commitment, so it's not something that I'm going to be able to completely relay in a 20-minute training or so. So I just thought that I would give you guys my 10 top tips for building a personal brand on LinkedIn. This is how I've personally built my personal brand. And I can also show you a kind of workshop this out a little bit so we can go through and I can show you things directly in the platform. So Rachel already goes into, how to set up your LinkedIn profile. And I'm not going to go into that because, you can go find all of that through her trainings. And if you are not in SMU, if you are watching this in the wine industry, then I will create a different training for you on how to set up your actual profile. But in order to build a personal brand, the first tip that I'm going to give you is that you want to really niche down. So I want you to get your niche and funnel it into a further niche and then funnel it into a further niche. So I use myself as an example. basically my big niche is the wine industry. So that is my background, that is my experience, my workforce experience. That's my passion. It's my career. It's probably what I will be in the future. If I'm not doing social media marketing, I know that I'm going to be in the wine industry. That is my platform. So then I go down into my second niche, which is social media management and strategy. So can you see how I've already differentiated myself from the larger crowd? At the same time, I'm being very true to who I am and what I do. And then after you have those two niches, I want you to niche down even further. So what I really focus on is brand awareness and exposure, and how businesses and professionals can gain awareness and exposure in their SM and social media management and strategy within the wine industry. So once you have that, you want to identify who your customer is. So who are the people who are looking for this? And you want to, make sure that your audience, like the beautiful thing about LinkedIn is that you have 100% control on who your audience is. You can choose who you connect with, and you can decline people who you don't want to connect with. And so it's about having a super, super nurtured and focused audience that is specifically after or will benefit from what your expertise are. So then once you have your customer, you basically just want to go and search for these people, and you want to grow your connects daily. And my advice would be, don't accept anyone who is outside of your niche. This is how you're going to have a really engaged and ignited community who, really benefits from what you're after. So if you have a lot of people asking for your friend requests, and you can see what they do, for example, airlines and aviation professional, that has nothing to do with my brand or my niche, so I'm going to ignore. Sommelier, events, digital marketing, that is, spot on with my niche, so I'm going to accept them. And you just go on as so. And if you're doing the 10 days to 10K, which is an SMU, then you're going to be doing this anyway. And Rachel goes into that more, but basically you just want to be searching for your perfect customer, your ideal target audience, and you want to be growing your connects daily. So search for these people. So someone who comes to mind is a winery owner. Owner at Every Family Winery. Yes, this is someone I want to connect to, and just keep going down the line until you've run out of connection requests. I think you have about 50 a day, and do that every day. Put an alarm on your phone. Make sure that you're growing that community every single day, because if you don't have an audience, then there's no point in putting content out there. After, you want to add value. Every single time you post, you want to be adding value to your audience. You can do this through personal storytelling. You can share news stories around these 3 topics above. So if you don't have any personal stories to tell just yet, which you should, because, if you are a expert in your niche, or you're working in social media, or you're working in wine, then you've definitely got some history and you've got some stories that you can tell about your experience. But if not, just share news stories from these topics, put a little bit of a spin on it, what your thoughts are about it, and post it. So you want to be adding value every single day. And, value doesn't have to always be very, very time consuming. Value can be a simple quote. It could be a simple thought. It could be something motivational. LinkedIn is very professional. It's very about personal development and professional development. So sharing some sort of quote, it always works very well. I think I've lost what I was going to show you. So yeah, just make sure you're adding value every single day in one of these 3 areas above. Then you want to add a twist. So once you kind of have these things going, start thinking about your personal branding style. So this is an extension of who you are, you know. Are you more of the inspirational type? Are you more professional? Are you informative? Are you quirky? Are you humorous? Are you honest? Are you raw? Are you opinionated? So start thinking about ways that you express yourself offline and start mixing this into your value adding and your news story sharing and your personal storytelling. So for example, for me, I think I would go with the inspirational. That is more of my twist and how I approach the world and how I look at the world. Then you want to be posting consistently. So every single day or every single second day, make sure you're showing up, you're becoming visible. And if you don't have anything to share, go look at your old content that you posted like 3 or 4 months ago or a couple of weeks ago and recycle it, put a new spin on it. Go look at different news stories that are out that are valuable to your audience in these 3 areas. Then tip number 7 is use trending hashtags and engage with that community. So you'll see on your feed that your posts that are relevant, so this is a hashtag that is relevant to me because obviously I speak about it a lot, or it's one that I've chosen to follow on my business page. And if I see that there is a trending post, I will go there and I will add to the community. So this is, I'm going to have to watch this video in order to actually write a comment on it, but this is actually under my business, so I wouldn't do that. I'd actually go from my personal profile, and so I would search wine up here because I don't want to be doing it from my business page. I want to be doing it from my personal page because I'm about building a personal brand. Wine. So thanks our friends at Wine Enthusiasts for hosting 2020 Wine Star Awards. I haven't, you know, I would probably read this a little bit longer, but I would say congrats. Amazing achievement. So another quick tip that's not really included, but when you are commenting and writing on people, try and comment in a way that you speak, because you know you want to be coming off the same offline and online. So some way to help you with that is just by actually speaking it out loud. Does it sound like you? Cool, post. So it's about getting that consistent voice up, and you can also, to do that, bring in one of your values. So if we go back to your personal branding style, so inspirational. So this, you know, is quite inspirational, amazing achievement. It's uplifting. So always want to think about your personal style and kind of adding that into your commentary, etc. So it sounds quite basic, but it's amazing how many people actually don't turn up online as they do offline, and they get kind of robotic and repetitive, but really putting your personality in there. Like Rachel does a fantastic job at that. You know, when you're reading her writing, you can almost hear her. So that's what you want to aim for. Then you want to have strong opinions that relates to your personal brand and share from personal experience. So, you know, this comes back to what I was saying before about putting your personal spin on things. And sharing from personal experience is so important. You have so much experience. If you've been living on this earth for the past 20 years or so, you know, you've got 20 years worth of personal experience. So speak from personal experience. People don't want to hear the same thing over and over and over again. You've got something unique to add, so show up online and add that to the world. Build your credibility. So one way that you can build your credibility, this is so important and so powerful, is to get really visible and collaborate with other experts. So if there's someone who is an expert, so think of someone who has something that you want that's maybe one step ahead of you. So I know a few people in the wine industry who have a personal brand, for example. And as I am in that realm of teaching others about personal branding, I want to be learning from people above me in the wine industry who have a personal brand and want to be seen by my network with that personal brand, with that person. So something I could do, which is something that I did recently, is I reached out to, I have a podcast going, reached out to someone who I would like to learn from, and I decided to have an interview with them. So what that does is a couple of things. First of all, it helps me learn from this person, free knowledge and education. 2, it builds a relationship with this person. And 3, when I go to market this material around social media, other people's opinions of this other person is kind of reflected onto me as well. So they see that we're in a collaboration and a relationship together. So automatically my credibility kind of goes up to that person's level, if that makes sense. So that's an incredible thing that really helps with building a personal brand. And the last tip that I want to give you guys is the golden rule. And I've, talked about this a lot during this training, and it's just about being authentic. And I know authentic is chucked around a lot, but it's so, so important because a personal brand is supposed to be unique to you. So if you're not being authentic, then you're not creating a personal brand that's going to be very strong. So a few ways that you can do this is just think about the type of client or customer that you want to work with. Simply share the benefits of what you do and what you sell. Stand out with a style and a story that is unique to you, and build out a platform using your own ideas and experiences. So again, doesn't mean that you can't get other people's information and other people, you got to learn your knowledge from somewhere. But when you're going to reshare that, make sure that it is authentic to you. It is in line with your personal brand. It comes from some sort of idea or experience that you've had in the past. And this is how your personal brand is going to stand out from the rest of them. So that is the end of today's short training. I hope you guys got some value today. Again, if you would like more information on personal branding, you can reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Chloe Cristallini. You can head to crushitsocial.com, or you can ask Rachel for another training if this is from SMU, or if you're in the wine industry, you can ask me for another training and I will kind of go into a second stage of personal branding. So now go out and take action and have fun with creating your personal brand. Bye.